What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Fireside Giants. I'm your host, Anthony Rivardo, joined by my co-host, Alex Wilson, and the New York Giants offensive line is terrible. We all know that. Everybody knows how bad the New York Giants offensive line is. They've surrendered 14 sacks through the first 4 games of the season, 30 pressures or 72 pressures through these 4 games. It's a ridiculous number. The offensive line has been a struggle, and not only that, the offensive line has been injured. Andrew Thomas has been out for the past 3 weeks. Ben Bredesen missed the game, and now they picked up an injury to John Michael Schmitz as well, causing them to go out there and sign Justin Pugh onto their practice squad as a backup offensive lineman. So we're going to go ahead and discuss expectations for Justin Pugh and also talk about the Giants bringing in an offensive tackle formerly of the Tennessee Titans for a workout today, indicating that their work on the offensive line is far from finished. The Giants are still evaluating talent, albeit maybe not the most talented player for them to target here, but they are still evaluating talent and looking for guys to bring in, bodies to add to the room who can manage themselves on the offensive line. So we'll go ahead and discuss these players for you in today's episode, but before we do all that, make sure to leave a like if you do enjoy this episode, subscribe to the channel if you are new, ring the bell so you don't miss an episode, and comment your thoughts on the topic down below in the comment section. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, please make sure to leave us a 5-star review, and go ahead and follow us on all of our social media channels at Fireside Giants. But without further ado, Alex, how are you doing today, my friend? And what are your expectations, first and foremost, on Justin Pugh heading into the second half of the season?
Well, I'm doing okay. Would be better if the Giants were a good team, as always. I feel like we're on the brink of the invincible tryouts where, remember the Eagles get Papali and he ends up becoming a good player for them. I feel like we're on the precipice of a live tryouts for offensive line in the Giants. Just show up to MetLife. If you're over 350 pounds, you're good to go. As long as you have 2 functioning feet, you could probably beat out some of these guys. And the truth is, right now, the Giants have given up 14 sacks, 72 total pressures this season. Other websites like ESPN have them at like 20 sacks allowed. I mean, they're on historic pace right now, guys. Anybody that can play the position that's not Andrew Thomas's spot or not Ben Bredesen or John Michael Schmitz, so essentially right guard, right tackle, anyone with experience will go a long way. Justin Pugh, for what it's worth, was one of the best pass blocking left guards in football for a couple seasons there. Obviously coming back from a torn ACL. He still believes he's got some gas left in the tank, and I think right now the Giants are in a spot where they need anybody that has experience and has had past success. Justin Pugh has been a good player in the past. He's not the best run blocker. He's not the most physically imposing blocker, but he's a good pass protector. He's smart. He's athletic. He can get to the second level. And right now, if I'm the Giants, I'm thinking about this specifically. When you get Andrew Thomas back, when you get John Michael Schmitz back, and Ben Bredesen can slide back into a guard spot, is there a world where you put him at right guard over Marcus McKethan and then put Justin Pugh at left guard? In my personal opinion, there's absolutely a world where that actually occurs. I think there's an opportunity there to even compete at right tackle. I mean, he's not the best right tackle in the world, but look, we need something that's just not terrible. And Evan Neal, unfortunately, has not panned out at this point, and I'm not sure if he's going to get much better unless, he proves it over the next couple of weeks, but I just don't know if the Giants can survive. Like, they're going into games knowing that they're at a massive disadvantage at quarterback because their offensive line is so bad and their offense is going to stall because their offensive line is so bad. At what point do you say to yourself, we can't go into games with just such bad players at key positions anymore? Like, we have to make a change. There's a world where Justin Pugh ends up starting at right tackle, he ends up starting at left guard, and McKethan gets pulled, and he got a little bit of a sample size, but he's struggled a lot. What are your thoughts on that, Anthony? Looking at Justin Pugh, what position could you see him playing? I could see Bredesen moving over to right guard, Pugh plugging in at left guard, and like the Giants rolling with that, and tackle. The guy they brought in for a workout, Jamarco Jones, he hasn't played since 2021. He's not a good player. He has never played over 800 snaps in a single season. He is just nothing. He's basically Matt Peart, for lack of a better comparison. He's just like a body. I'd rather go after someone like La'el Collins. He's been cleared from the ACL and MCL injuries. Now, yes, he's coming off significant injuries, but at the end of the day, if you're going to bring in somebody, at least bring in somebody that has experience and past success, even if they are coming off an issue like that. I feel as though, Pugh coming off the ACL tear, it can't hurt to test Collins, see what he's got. Has a lot of experience at right tackle. I can't imagine he'd be any worse than Evan Neal, just based on muscle memory alone. So, what are your thoughts there? I want you to hit on Pugh, and then obviously where he would play, and then Jamarco Jones, and, the idea of La'el Collins.
Yeah, giving me a lot to hit on here, but I'll go ahead and start with Justin Pugh first and foremost because I do think this is a solid signing for the New York Giants. Now, is this a guy that I think they're expecting to step in and start for the rest of the year? No, absolutely not. That's why they signed him to the practice squad. But I do think that Justin Pugh provides some sort of dependability for the New York Giants on the offensive line, right? This is a guy who, when he's healthy, you know what you're getting. You're getting a dependable, pass protecting, interior offensive lineman. And for what it's worth, he has experience playing offensive tackle. He used to play right tackle for the New York Giants. So Evan Neal continues to struggle, and they try to make a change up front on the offensive line at the tackle spots. Maybe Justin Pugh can even fill in on that end as well. But primarily, I think they're viewing Pugh as a veteran guard who can really just help out if the team continues to struggle or continues to have any more injuries. Because one thing that we're seeing, Ben Bredeson has to move over to center if John Michael Schmitz is missing time. That kind of does free open another spot at left guard. So if Josh Azidu is staying at left tackle while Andrew Thomas is out, I don't know who's playing left guard, but I would assume Justin Pugh would be the best option. I'm not trying to see Shane Lemieux. I know he's even banged up, so I don't think we can see Shane Lemieux. I'm definitely not trying to see Mark Lewinsky either. I think Justin Pugh is the best player of that group. Now, will he be ready to play this upcoming Sunday? 2 days from now against the Miami Dolphins? No, Brian Dable said that's not going to happen. So he's going to take more time to get acclimated, get ramped up here, learn the offensive playbook, learn the protections, all that stuff. But once he does, and I think it won't take him long because he is a veteran in the NFL, so he should be a quick learner here. Once he does get ramped up like that, if the Giants are still banged up on the offensive line, Ben Bredeson is still playing center with a gaping hole at left guard, I think you throw Justin Pugh in there and see what you got in this veteran. He's a better player than Mark Lewinsky. He's definitely a better player than Shane freaking Lemieux. So if he's ready and healthy and he could start at left guard, Shane Lemieux's still injured, I mean, you take what you got and you see if Justin Pugh can give you some quality snaps for the rest of the season. And again, you know, he's a confident guy. He's a guy that Giants fans are familiar with. He's a player that Giants fans really enjoy watching play. We like him. He's a good personality off the field. And I think there's something to be said about the impact that he can have in the locker room. You know, it's always a good thing to get, I believe, in my opinion, in mid-season form, when the team is really starting to struggle and we're starting to hear locker room divide and problems within the locker room, players lashing out like the Evan Neal situation that just happened, I do think it's a good thing to bring in some outside voices, allow them to see what's going on, and provide their new leadership to this room. And I think that's what's happening with Justin Pugh as well. You're seeing the offensive line struggle in many ways, not just on the football field, but even off the football field. They're starting to lash out. They're starting to get really frustrated with their poor performances, with all of the criticism they've been receiving. So getting a guy in there like Justin Pugh, who's confident, is a good leader, has been in the NFL for 10 years, I think it's a real positive impact that he can have on the locker room as well. And I think that's something that shouldn't be understated. You know, we've talked a lot about the New York Giants struggling to pick up stunts, struggling to communicate up front. Well, Justin Pugh has been communicating with a bunch of different offensive linemen that he's been playing alongside for the last decade. Let him get in there and help out. Maybe he's got some good tips. Maybe he can do a little bit of player coaching here and there and help Bobby Johnson out, because clearly the Giants players are not picking up the signals. They're not understanding what Bobby Johnson's trying to teach them. Now, Bobby Johnson is a whole nother discussion for another episode in terms of his coaching and getting these players, you know, prepared to play. But when you're looking at Justin Pugh, I think that he can actually have a pretty big impact in helping these players get prepared. You know, when you sign a player to the practice squad, you're not signing them so that they become a starter for the rest of the season. You're signing them so that they can help your team improve in practice. And that's ultimately what Justin Pugh can help this team do. He can help them understand these calls, these protection calls, pick up these stunts, help them see things better. And that's really his job on the practice squad. But also part of being on the practice squad is you got to be ready at a moment's notice. You're practicing with the team, helping them get better in practice, but also if the Giants have injuries or they got to bench somebody, you got to be ready to go. And I do think that Justin Pugh will be ready to go. And like I said, I think he's arguably the most talented player left standing in this guard room. And when he does get his opportunity to play for the Giants, which I feel like is inevitable at this point, I think he'll rise to the occasion and provide some quality snaps to the offensive line. At least quality in comparison to what we've been getting, because that's been an utter lack of quality across the board. So I think Pugh can serve as somewhat of an upgrade for the remainder of the season when he does start to get a little bit of playing time. Now, talking about Jamarco Jones, I don't know a whole lot about him. I don't need to know a whole lot about him. This is a backup guy who, at his best, will contribute on the practice squad and, again, help the team get better. But at his worst, Sounds like he had a few issues in Tennessee, wasn't getting along with some of his teammates, was having a lot of fights in training camp, and maybe wasn't totally familiar with the playbook. Doesn't sound like the best player for the New York Giants to bring in, but I do appreciate the fact that they're looking for talent, looking for extra bodies. They've just got so many injuries up front on the offensive line. You got to bring in a few more guys here and there to compete and just provide you with a little bit of added depth. I mean, so many Giants offensive linemen are going down with injuries, so having a little bit added depth, whether it's good quality depth or it's just a body who can go out there and play football, you gotta have that depth. So Jamarco Jones, that's really all my take is on him. Now, Alex, the third thing you mentioned for me to hit on, La'el Collins. Now, I think that the La'el Collins situation is interesting, but for the New York Giants, who are now 1-3, staring 1-5 down in the face, I don't know if La'el Collins is going to have an interest in signing with the New York Giants as opposed to some of these other teams that have a healthier roster, have a stronger roster, and a real chance of making a playoff run or even a Super Bowl run. One of those teams might have interest in La'el Collins, and he might have a whole lot more interest in playing for them than he would for playing for the New York Giants. So in my opinion, I think La'el Collins is a little bit of a pipe dream here. Yes, he would really help this team. He would make a significant impact if he was fully healthy and playing at the level we know that he's capable of playing at, one of the best run blocking offensive tackles in the NFL for years now. He could plug in the right tackle. He could move Evan Neal to guard or put Evan Neal on the freaking bench for all I care. And yeah, La'el Collins improves this offensive line tenfold. However, why would he want to help come in here and improve this offensive line? What's his game? Like, what's he looking for here? If there's going to be teams calling, we know that there's about a dozen teams who have interest in La'el Collins, and I just can't imagine this sinking ship of New York Giants football is the one that he wants to try and hitch a ride on. So that's my take on La'el Collins, Alex, but maybe you see it differently. Do you think that he would be more open than I'm making it sound to joining the Giants, or do you kind of agree with me in the sense that there's a lot of teams interested in La'el Collins, a lot of them are better than the Giants, he's probably more inclined to go to one of those teams and win some football games?
Yeah, I mean, look, in my opinion, it may not be so much about winning a championship for him. It may be about proving that he can do it over a large sample of work and about money, really. It could be where he can get the most opportunity to play on an every game basis because there's no one better behind him, right? Like that's what I would say. Evan Neal is a bad player right now. If La'el Collins comes in and he's better than Evan Neal, it's going to be hard for Collins to play at a level that Evan Neal actually works his way back into the starting position. Like, that's how bad it's been. If I'm Collins, I'm going to a team that, okay, the guy behind me is really freaking bad. I can outplay him. I can hold this fort down and then leverage that into a contract, right? That's what I'd be thinking if I was him. I'm not like, look, he's not at the end of his career, right? I don't think he's that old. I don't actually, maybe, what is he, 30 years old maybe? So he's still got time left. Like, he could come back, play, get a second contract for 2 years, make some money, some guaranteed money, and then go and try and help a team win a championship as a backup or something. Like, that's what I would be trying to do. For him, it's probably about just getting back into the league, not winning a championship. The Giants offer him a great opportunity to come in, beat out a player that's not very good, and then hold the job for the rest of the season. So, like, yeah, I do think the Giants are actually an attractive destination because there's opportunity there. Like, there's playing time to be had. For other clubs, I don't know much about the other situations, in terms of what other teams need right tackles or, what the backup is like, what the starter is like. Maybe Seattle's going through a lot of problems right now, so maybe they could use someone like him. There are teams that probably have similar opportunities, a little bit more money, and are better. He can win with them too. So, obviously winning cures all. Winning helps you get better. Winning promotes everybody, makes everyone better. So I feel as though, the Giants do represent an opportunity for him, but also it may just be like who's willing to give him a chance. Like, he's coming off an ACL, MCL tear. Like, his knee got shredded like a chicken burrito. How do you actually figure out who wants him? If I'm the Giants, I'm thinking to myself, if Evan Neal struggles against Miami, struggles against Buffalo, which is likely, you have to consider making a change. Is it going to be Justin Pugh? Is it going to be a guy like Collins? Is it going to be Azudu moving over there when Andrew Thomas comes back? They have alternatives, but right now I'm thinking about everybody. Everybody needs to be considered here. A Dallas Cowboys fan popped up into my mentions yesterday and was like, La'el Collins is washed. Like, you don't want him. And I'm like, bro, you don't know how bad our offensive line is. Like, I would take washed over literally dead cat right now. So like that's kind of the status that I'm in. Like, we have guys that are just letting people run by them, like not even competitive reps. So I think that's a problematic situation that the Giants need to address. And clearly they are. Like Justin Pugh's here, Jamarco Jones gets a workout, maybe Collins gets a workout. They're looking like they know their team, their offensive line is garbage. They know they need support. So we'll see how things go. But anytime you have to make in-season moves like this, it's bad because now you have to pray to God a guy knows the snap count, knows the system, knows the scheme, isn't going to make mental mistakes. What I do like about Justin Pugh, he's a really smart guy. If you've ever heard him talk, he exudes confidence, leadership. He already came out and had a couple of nice quotes yesterday. I really like him because his fortitude is there, and he's a smart guy who's played a lot of football. Whereas other players, maybe not so much, like Jamarco Jones hasn't played as much as him. So, the experience variable is certainly favoring Pugh in this instance. That's kind of where I sit on that. But, I definitely think the Giants could use the support. They're looking into it, but it's a matter of like who can step in and help them immediately. That's going to be better than what they already have. I'd argue they can't get much worse.
Definitely can't get any worse than what the Giants have up front right now. That's for sure. I mean, listen, we're all holding our breaths, hoping and praying that Andrew Thomas can return soon because, man, what an impact he has on this offense. Like, the offense with Andrew Thomas last season versus this season, the majority of this season without Andrew Thomas, it's a night and day difference. This guy really is the MVP. He is so impactful to this offense, and just the way that it operates, it puts so much pressure on the tackles sometimes. The tackles have to hold up, make plays, make some crucial blocks, and you can't rely on guys like second-year interior offensive lineman Josh Azuda to make those plays at tackle, and you definitely can't rely on Evan Neal to make those plays at tackle either. So you need a guy like Andrew Thomas. Like, we need him back, or you just have to start looking for added talent like a La'el Collins. So, Alex, I'm not necessarily against the idea of signing La'el Collins. I just think it's a pipe dream. But if the Giants do go ahead and make this move, I do think it means Evan Neal goes to the bench, and the Giants' offensive line will be better off for it. I mean, at the very least, you're getting a boost to your run blocking department with La'el Collins. He's a great run blocker. Is he a great pass blocker? No, he's not the best, but he is a great run blocker. And if the Giants were to add him and they wanted to get Saquon Barkley more involved in the offensive game plan, with La'el Collins lining up at right tackle, you just keep running to the right side. You'll find some running room. He'll make some big-time blocks for you out front as a lead blocker. So I definitely think there could be a lot of added value in signing La'el Collins. Can the Giants afford it? Do they want to go after him? Do they even want more bodies in this offensive line room? Well, it seems like they do, but maybe La'el Collins is a fit, maybe isn't. We'll wait and see on that one. But all we know, the Giants offensive line, it sucks. It's Swiss cheese. And if they don't turn things around, the Giants season is officially going to sink. They are right on the verge of sinking. It's like, can they pull out the upset this weekend and save their season? It doesn't seem likely, but if they don't, I really think this is a sinking ship that not many people are going to be able to swim off of. But we shall see, my friends. Sunday afternoon, 1 p.m., Giants versus Dolphins. Is this the moment where the Giants turn their season around? I'm not so sure, but we will find out momentarily. So make sure to stay tuned to Fireside Giants. Leave a like if you did enjoy this episode. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Ring the bell so don't miss an episode, and comment your thoughts on the topic down below in the comment section. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, please make sure to leave us a 5-star review and go ahead and follow us on all of our social media channels at Fireside Giants. But without further ado, we will catch you all in the next one. Have a good one, and let's go Giants.